It's me thinking out loud. We've talked about it for as long as we've talked about work itself. And yet, right now, it's not just another background hum, it's a siren, loud and sharp, almost impossible to ignore. People say it feels new, but in my experience, it's not the change that's new, it's the fact that we see it. And that visibility, it changes everything. I notice in myself and others that most of the anxiety isn't coming from the change itself. It's coming from how plainly we can watch it coming. There's something different about being face to face with it instead of stumbling across it afterward. I'm not here to stoke that panic or try to smother it either. My hope is, and maybe it's showing my bias, if we can name what's actually happening, we can move through it, or at least not freeze. Maybe it helps to remember that obsolescence isn't some rare meteor drop, it's just the tempo of work. Typewriters gave way to word processors, which gave way to computers. CEOs once proudly announced they'd never use email. Some of you might remember having to dial zero for a telephone operator. That was standard. Now it sounds like fiction. There were roles with real prestige that just slipped away. Elevator operators in landmark buildings, for example. That wasn't so long ago. Many people still remember when those roles were standard. What I keep circling back to is work has always changed. Roles, titles, even whole industries, they aren't fixed points. And mostly, we handled it, or at least we thought we did. There's a reason this time feels different. Previous transitions didn't arrive quietly, but they didn't arrive loudly either. Information moved more slowly. Awareness lagged behind impact. By the time many people noticed, the change had already taken hold. But now, this shift isn't sneaking up on anyone. AI isn't just here, it's being forecasted, debated, tracked almost daily. We're all watching the same curve together in real time. And seeing the trajectory in advance changes people. It's the visibility that transforms a normal period of adaptation into this rising sense of urgency, or even panic. When you see something coming and everyone else is pointing at that thing too, it's much harder to convince yourself it's not happening. Panic shows up right where adaptation used to live. This is usually where the narrative goes off the rails. People start projecting. Will people become obsolete? Is experience worthless? I don't see that. Truthfully, it's not people, it's not intelligence, it's not experience. What actually becomes obsolete are tasks, repetitive cognitive tasks that are so rule bound and process heavy, they can be automated reliably. These are the kinds of tasks AI is most likely to replace. There's also the kind of work that's just friction. If the role adds steps but not substance, it's vulnerable. And organizations that resist new tools, not because of discernment, but because they just don't want to, that's where structural fragility shows up. I mean, take the example of typists. Fewer typists didn't mean there was less thinking happening. It just pushed thinking into a different direction. Or call back to the era of telephone operators. Automation changed what it meant to connect people. The need to communicate didn't vanish, just the way it happened. The arrival of faster tools didn't eliminate work. Instead, it quietly redefined what was expected. Time to output shrank, but standards rose, almost without anyone announcing it. The more I reflect, the more I see the same pattern repeating, whether we like it or not. The shift isn't to less value, but to changed value. I'll share something personal here because sometimes lived experience sticks better than theory. I was teaching Introduction to Computer Science a few years ago, and I remember coming across this prediction, really bold, very headline friendly, about major workforce reduction by 2030. And my first reaction was, honestly, a little dismissive. It felt exaggerated. The timeline seemed too crisp, too detached from the messiness of how change really unfolds. But standing here now, I realize that timeline isn't so abstract anymore. The change is tangible. No alarm, just recognition. Maybe I should have paid closer attention. Or maybe that's just how recalibration goes. I want to draw a calm line here. Not a threat, just an observation. If someone individually refuses to engage with AI at all right now, I think their role is increasingly fragile. And if an organization takes that stance, not even experimenting, just ignoring, the organization becomes fragile too. This isn't about punishment. And it's not really about fear. It's just this is how economic pressure works. Systems move where there's least resistance. If you choose not to move at all, the system will move right past you. Here's where I come down. For now, obsolescence isn't new. The loudness right now is just a function of visibility, not a sign that everything is suddenly unmoored. And panic? That's optional. Visibility, for all its discomfort, actually creates a moment to adapt, consciously, not just by accident. I'm still thinking out loud.